Well, hey there, folks. This is session 30 recap of Sanctuary. Last session's audio file somehow got corrupted on me, so the recording got pooched. So I'm going to give you all a lovely quick recap, well, not too quick, of what went on. It was pretty much a full-blown RP session, mostly with some shopping as we finalize a few things around Sanctuary. Before we go, try not to die on a red dragon. It's going to be fun. We did have quite a bit of side RP going on in our Discord channel over the last couple weeks, leading up to this, because we do have actual 2 weeks in-game also to try and get through. It was mostly Rin, Val, and Krix training all the new recruits that we have found, and Zaz checking them for any magic users. Zaz and Krix also spent a lot of time looking for ingredients to counter the lovely Drow poisons. During that time, Stkx had a lovely conversation with Tom about how magic works with others, and she's been trying to figure out how Curatio did what he did before he died. She learned that some people are able to overcharge their magic with their own life force, and apparently that's what Curatio did. So she's trying to figure that out. Tom, who has part of Curatio inside of him now, then had a memory pop into his head that Sanctuary's barkeep Lorana, some time ago before she came to Sanctuary, was actually named Quintera, and she, using something called sorcery, ended the Orc War with some forbidden magic. Apparently she was deemed a heretic and was sentenced to death, but she then disappeared before her final judgment. So Stkx, being Stkx, took a few days to think it over before heading off to find her. So that's where we started our session. So we started off there with me as Stkx, grabbing Lorana's hand and heading out to a nice secluded area where Lorana revealed herself to me, as Stkx, to be this Quintera, and over the next week, Stkx learned a few new tricks and got to know her a little bit more. She seemed to be completely different than Lorana, as her whole appearance, attitude, and even bearing changed during those sessions, and Stkx was learning that Sanctuary had more and more hidden gems for her to find. We then pan off to Val, as he finds Rin, and announces that he and his lovely dragon lady Leanna are getting married. Yeah. So that's going to be something fun to see when it happens, and I hope Stkx is allowed to officiate, but she doesn't know about it yet, so I have high hopes. So there was a lot of toasting and drinking in the tavern for quite a while after that. We did a lot of skipping back and forth over the 2 weeks that were there, catching up with a few things that we forgot to RP about. The majority of it got done then, and we pretty much panned off to like the end of those 2 weeks. Stkx finally then did also find out who Dax is. She'd been forgetting to take the opportunity to talk to Rin about it, as Rin likes to keep things, especially Drow and family stuff, secret and close to the chest. So after a few odd questions and getting yelled at a little bit for finally deciding to ask, we learned really only his name, and that he's not going to talk to us too much. Rin also spent a lot of time with Celine, as she's getting closer and closer to giving birth, and without Curatio around, she's been a little worried about the child's care, and eventually sought Stkx out for advice. Alark had told us that Vasti, the old orc stable master, had some healing abilities, and he was now pretty much being taken over as head healer. So Stkx informed Rin that she would go over in detail with what he needed to do, and that she'd try to find someone who has had children before in Sanctuary, and to maybe like act as a guide for Vasti for the just in case, if she wasn't going to be there to handle it herself. Seemed to put Rin at ease, and she went about her day. The next half of the session was pretty fun, because we went shopping in Krixnoxa. So Zaz and Krix were, over the last few weeks, have been trying to find all the ingredients they need to make a lot of antidotes for the Drow poison. But we really only had enough to create one. I rolled well as Stkx with my herbalism kit, and we were able to make one. But we do need a lot more, so that was on our list of things to do. Rin, oddly enough, then told Zaz she knew of the perfect place to get the exact ingredient we needed, and that had he just asked her a few weeks ago, we would have had a lot more of them by now. But not knowing actually that Rin knew where to find stuff, he would have never asked. Putting that aside, everyone gathered together with their lists, and we teleported to our old stomping ground of Krixnoxa, where most people there really didn't like us. To some extent, mostly Val. We then were taken to a very interesting shop by Rin. It was a very pretty, well-kept, and smelled wonderful on the inside. It was a flower shop. It had a wide variety of species here and there, and they were arranged to be used for a wide variety of things. Funerals, weddings, just standard outdoor growing. It was gorgeous. The owner was also a human, and Rin treated them like they knew each other. Very odd behavior for Rin, but we had other things to do, so of course we do what most people do, and we split the party. Krix, Stkx, and Tom went to find a gem shop and the post office, while the others stayed back. Stkx gave Zaz her list and 40 gold and set off. Stkx basically wanted, stuff for the sanctuary. She also wanted to give Alaric something to remember Krixnoxa by. She wanted something for Krixnoxa's grave, and just other stuff for her itself. So, while they left, Stkx also noticed that Rin was trying to stuff her 40 gold back into her pocket, sighed a little, opened it a little bit wider for her, and her 40 gold was put back in her pocket. Not too sure why, but that's what happened. We then first hit up, those of us who left the shop, hit up the post office where Tom had 3 letters to mail. These letters were posted in Discord, and the detail on them was exquisite. They look like old parchment, handwritten with a quill and ink pot. They're quite long, but they need to be said aloud, so I'm going to read you his letters that he wrote. Esteemed Father Michael, I hope this letter finds you well, and that these past few months have afforded you the time to venture from the city walls at least once to take in the beauty of the countryside that I know you most adore. First and foremost, I owe you the sincerest of apologies. You have always been a kind mentor to me for decades, and in that time have asked little back from me beyond honesty and respect. When I made plans to leave our ranks, and without giving you proper notice, denied you both of those things. The truth of the matter is that, in my heart of hearts, I knew it was time that I parted ways with the League of Clerics. But I also knew that if anyone possessed the ability to talk me out of it, it would have been you. There are a few great many strange details of these past months of mine that this brief letter will not include. But when we see each other again, you most entitled to ask me for any or all of them, and I will answer with honesty. I apologize that in our last brief meeting, I obscured the truth from you, although I'm sure you suspected it all the same. As time is of the essence, I must confide in you a few matters of the utmost importance. As you already may have suspected, these powers came to me all those months ago when I found a book among our archives. Being the fool I was deceived into believing that it was from the God of Light. Father Michael, The book was actually planted there by a being of ancient evil known only as Thri-kreen. I spent months under his influence before my new companions, most of whom you met in that town of Krixnoxa, helped to break me free. While I am now free of his dark magic, we have every reason to believe that he continues to spread his tendrils across Arcaria, weaving together a dark plan after millennia hiding in obscurity. Do not trust Malpravis or anyone that associates themselves with Goliath, at least not for now. They are connected to this somehow, and be vigilant for any erratic behavior among the ranks of the League. I know in my heart that Thri-kreen will target more among us. As a second matter, there are a number of half-elf children from Termina that are of critical importance to the future of the elves themselves. I've been trusted to find out more and intend to. But if something should happen to me, it would bring me great relief to know that the League of Clerics would do the same in my stead. My profuse apologies that this piece remains encryptic, but to share more in writing would be a betrayal of trust of the one who gave me this quest. And to her, I already owe a great deal. I humbly request that Father Agnes be among those with the League that you entrust with this task. While he may not be a cleric either, he approaches the world with a clear and open heart, truly befitting the God of Light. I know that in my soul that Agnes has many great deeds ahead of him if given the opportunity to prove himself. When you receive this letter, it is likely that the heroes of Sanctuary will be on their way to confronting the dragon Ashengar. I'll get that name right one of these days. Ashengar, there it is. To put an end to his bloody campaign to acquire each of the god weapons. I will be proud to fight beside each and every one of them. If you do not hear from me again, it is because I perished fighting alongside of them. Stkx is not going to let that happen. I know that I will never, ever be a cleric of the God of Light, but I hope to make him proud by serving him in my own way until the end. May the God of Light bless us both and grant us the opportunity to meet again. With gratitude, Thomas Whittlebrim. That's the first letter. The lovely second letter. Ms. Marcia Linlock. As I write this letter, I know there's a risk of it only serving to make you relive a terrible, terrible day in the past and its sentiments being wholly insufficient in bringing you any comfort. If that is the case, please pardon this unwelcome intrusion. My name is Thomas Whittlebrim. As much as I try to recall from that evening, I still can never seem to recall it. I had shared my name. As you may already suspect, I was the halfling that heard your call for help that night years ago in Hembermill. Over the course of many hours, I tried and failed to save the life of your beautiful daughter. My grave error that might begin with the most pathetic of lies. I told you that I was a cleric when I knew I possessed no such powers. An earlier admission of truth to you and a search for further help could have changed the outcome of that night. Instead, I fell deeper and deeper into my lie, underqualified and no match to break the fever. Somehow, I had convinced myself that the God of Light's power would finally flow through me in a moment of dire need. I had no right to stake the life of another on such a foolish and unfounded hope. I had the deepest desire to help both you and her, but mixed with it was a desire for importance too. Years too late, I write this letter to you and offer my apology. I've regretted my actions ever since that day. I am so deeply sorry for the lie I told you and the consequences that it had for you and all of your family. I know it may be of little comfort to hear, but I write to you now as a different halfling. One fully aware of his shortcomings and willing to ask for help when a problem is too big to solve itself. I have done well to surround myself with strong and brave individuals that stand up for those in need, and I learn from them every day. If it should come to pass that you or your town should have another hour of need, I encourage you to call upon my friends Rin, Val, Stkx, Zazrexx, in the full might of the Guild of Sanctuary. Tell them only that you are redeeming a favor owned by Father Tom, one long overdue. And if by some chance you would ever be willing to hear this apology from me in person, please know that as long as I still draw breath, I will come. I very much hope that this letter has brought you some comfort and closure. May the God of Light bless you. Sincerely, Thomas Whittlebroom. Too damn want to go. Mayor and fine people of Chalksburg, I hope this letter finds your mayor and each of you proud citizens in great health and spirits. Before I write on, I would like to first request most humbly that the contents of this letter not be allowed to reflect poorly upon my fine companions and the great deeds that they did for the fine town of Chalksburg. Their hearts and intentions were pure in their successful quest to free your minds from that terrible threat your town faced. While I am most proud of the work we were able to do for Chalksburg, I feel I must share with you the truth of an action in particular I took while enjoying the hospitality of your town. In my final moments before departing, I used my own magic of deception to influence the mind of you, my dear mayor, to establish a church and congregation for the God of Light. While the care of my intentions were to share his veil and protection with Chalksburg, should the town have to face a new threat in the future, I also must admit to the other more ugly side of the coin, that is Thomas Whittlebrim. In that moment, I acted with an arrogance and trickery that betrays the hearts of my God's essence and message. If I had been listening to his teachings at that moment, I would have remembered that the truth of the God of Light's message should always be shared, but never forced. Whether this letter is reaching a Chalksburg that has embraced the God of Light, or one that has not, I felt it was my only right to own up to the method by which I delivered his word. May the God of Light bless you all, in bringing you joy and vigilance in the years ahead. With gratitude, Thomas Whittlebrim. So those are the lovely letters that Tom mailed out. After the post office, we hit up a lovely magic/gem shop to get a diamond for Stkx, some gem dust for Zaz, and a bag of holding for Zaz. Stkx then did some much-needed haggling to get the price down, as our funds were quite limited. Stkx also had to toss in a lovely free portrait of the shop owner to settle the deal, and spent an hour creating a lovely masterpiece for him. It was one of those lovely, grandiose pictures where he's got muscles, long, glorious hair, oiled, sitting on top of another very well oiled buffalo that might just look exactly like Bill. So after this, we all headed back to find the rest of our party. Val and Krix also learned something else about Rin. The proceeds from her flower shop go to help children. And yes, it was her shop. So, we all had a great nostalgia moment back at our old stomping ground to show Zaz and Krix, and it had also been updated since our last time here. It seems that Alaric did send someone to fix our old barn. So we took it all in before finally heading back to Sanctuary, where, at some point next session, we head to fight a dragon. And that's where our session ended. So, once again, I am sorry for my file getting corrupted. Not too sure what happened, but that was the majority of it. I'm pretty sure I screwed up a few things, forgot a few other things, but that's the joys of D&D. See you next time.